So you're clumsy like me and you constantly rip your nylons, eh? Well, don't toss them out just yet. Make something decorative out of it. Any pantyhose would work for this, and if you don't have ripped ones, I bought these from Walgreens for 50 cents each. If your nylons are nude, you'll want to dye them into a much more fun color. So first, I'm going to show you how to dye pantyhose. So I fill up my pot with hot water, giving enough room for the nylons and for stirring. Since I'm using an acid dye, vinegar is a very important component to get the dye to react correctly. You can follow the instructions that's on the back of your dye packet. For me, I'm just going to add in half a cup of vinegar. So I set my pot on a stove, and when I can see little bubbles, I take some of the water and I place it in a measuring cup. Jacquard is a brand I'm using, but as long as it says acid dye on the label, I think you'll be okay. So I pour a bit of the dye into the cup and I stir until the powder is evenly mixed through before I pour into the pot. Before I add my nylons into the pot, I wet it first with water, which will help the nylon dye much more evenly without spotting. Next, I carefully add the nylons into the pot and stir. Now, depending on how you want the color to look is how long you leave it in the pot. Since this is a burgundy dye and I want it to look black, I'll just leave it in for 10 minutes. Now I take my nylons out and I place it in cold water so the colors doesn't bleed out. After a good thorough rinse, I place it on a paper towel to dry. To make the flowers, I'm using a 20 gauge floral wire for this. Try to not use green like I did because the color will halo your flower. So straightening out the wire, I wrap it around a circular object, and I am using a cup for this tutorial. So I take the raw edge and I wrap it around the other end a few times. Take it off the cup and cut the circle from the rest of the wire. You have to make about 8 more or so to complete one rose, but practice makes perfect, right? Now with my dried nylon, I cut the toe seam away from the rest of my pantyhose. Now I cut the tube completely open. Next, cut a piece about 3 to 4 inches wide. Take the nylon and cover it around the circle wire. I find it easier to hang it horizontally on the wire and then pulling down on both sides, and then fixing the middle by taking little sections and pulling it downwards. Afterwards, using floor tape, I wrap it around the nylon and the bottom wire to secure the stretch. The fun and of course annoying part is making a few more of these. To pull it all together, I place a ring adjacent to the first ring but also overlapping it halfway. I do the same with the third ring and bind them all together with floral tape. Next, I add another ring, and really you can place it wherever you want at this point. I bind with floral tape. I keep adding more rings next to each other and continue binding each one. It's pretty easy, but it will take some practice. Once I'm done, I bind everything together. I cut out a piece of floral wire and I place it into the receptacle of the flower, and I wrap again with floral tape until I feel that it's super secure and happy. Now the artistic part of this is molding the wire so that it looks like a flower. Just bend the wires around a few times to see how it looks. For fun, I place a glow stick into my vase and I fill it up with this water jelly ball things I found from the craft store. It comes in a package like this, and you fill it up with water, and in a couple of hours it'll start swelling up into little clear marbles. You can tie or decorate the vase with bows or however you want, and then I just place my flower into it. So that's pretty much it. I know it's a bit on the darker side, but it's all fun. Remember, all of my supplies are listed down below, as well as other tips and notes that I want to warn you guys before you start this tutorial. Be sure to like and subscribe to my channel, and I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial. Bye!